All right, let's slide on to the next thing here, and let's talk about Tales of Kenzera Zao. Wow, let's get to it, man. First and foremost, this is gonna be a review. We're talking about the game. Shout outs to EA, shout outs to Surgeon Studios. They did again slide some codes our way to review the game, check the game out, and see what's going on. Shouts to them as well. They put your boy in a little trailer or something like that. You know what I'm saying? You might see me somewhere around there. Shouts to them for that though. We got to talk about the game. So the first portion, or as much as we possibly can, will be non-spoilery. So if you haven't played the game through yet, it's okay. We got something for you, but we will tell you when we're gonna get spoilery, so be careful. Please be careful, okay? You're gonna know, and if you skip forward without looking for the warning, it's your fault. I will literally put it in the description and say this part gets spoilery, so look out. All right. So when are you ready?
Born ready. All
right, so let's talk about it, man. Again, for those that do not know, this is one of the brand new games from EA Originals and Surgeon Studios. It's a story about a boy who's kind of dealing with the loss of his father and kind of journeying through this kind of this journey of grief, this path of grief, and he finds a book, and he finds a story about an ancient shaman named Zao, and it kind of goes on this storytelling, Zao, how Zao lost his father, and now he communed with the god of death Nganga to find 3 great spirits and guide them to the land of death, and in exchange for those 3 spirits, Zao will get his father back. And it takes us through a lot of different points of action, emotion, and stuff like that through the lens of this Metroidvania style platformer. So I've been looking at it, for a while now. We've been checking it out for a while now. We got involved with the rollout, which is super cool, but we got to give the honest facts. We got to talk about the review and stuff. General impressions off the top. How'd you feel about it?
Beautiful. It was a really, really beautiful game. The music, like the entire the setting is special, is what I felt the most. Is like while I was playing through this game, I was like, this is something that you don't really experience in such a whimsical, while also connected to such a real culture. It is very, I'm trying to think of the best word to describe it, but no, that's the best way to describe it to me was just like, I felt like I was just being exposed to something that I had never even, I maybe knew of, or knew something that was inspired by, but never actually connected with something itself. It definitely, like, the whole time I'm walking through it, it's just like beautiful. Like, I guess that's the best word to describe it, would be beautiful.
Yeah. Off the top of my head, it's just captivating. It's definitely my word. Captivating is definitely my word.
That's a good word. That's a great way of using it.
I was, me. I am not the one for all these super, long games, lengthy to grandiose games. There's gonna be heat anywhere you look in gaming nowadays. And my first impression and my main impression with this game was, and I'm gonna talk about this more in a separate thing down the line, but this game is an onion. All right, this game is an onion, and I mean this in the best of ways. Let me explain what I mean by this generally. First of all, again, shout out to Shrek. Onions have layers, so you gotta go in with that thing first. I gotta drop the Shrek quote first and foremost. This game is so layered. It has so many pieces of depth to it. The closer you get to the game itself, when you connect with it, on the face of it, the colors, the influence, the visuals, the music, what you hear and see before you even get close to it, and then you start touching and playing with it. Pause. The gameplay of it, how delicate the balance is, how ultimately like freeing, and how much choice you have in the system that's been set up, the actual difficulties and struggles with that, the sets of gameplay and stuff like that, when you deal with the enemies, when you deal with the environment, when you're dealing with the platform and mixed with so many different things that are thrown at you. It was really, really cool. And then you get to the deeper levels, you talk about the emotion that exudes through it, the themes, the emotions that are flowing through damn near everything in this. It's an onion, and it's so compact. There's so much that emanates from the center of the game, the core of the game, the themes, and it emits through everything that I've seen with the game from bottom to top. So I'll try and keep it as non-spoiler in the beginning, you know what I'm saying, and we can roll backwards. Let's start with the gameplay. And talk about how it was. Again, Metroid style platformer, 2.5 2D. Again, pretty heavy combat flow, if you know what I'm saying, if you want to put it that way. Again, melee combat, ranged combat, you're gonna deal with a variety of different enemies on there. With that style and kind of how you saw it applied, how'd you feel about the gameplay portion of it? Because I think that's important. With, again, as good as the narrative as it is, had a gameplay to match.
I think my favorite part definitely was the platforming, even though there were some sections that were absolutely brutal for me. That was just like, and then some of like, and it wasn't even like sections that I felt were brutal without a purpose. Like if it was a platforming section that was brutal, it would be either a challenge section or a section that had to do with a boss fight. And it's like, damn, I have to, like, the checkpoint is all the way back here for a reason. And there are times I was like, man, I wish I had a checkpoint at any point of these times. But it was brutal, but also felt rewarding. It felt satisfying getting to the end. Like, oh man, thank fucking God, bro. I'm so happy I got through it. But even then, the platforming in and of itself was just fun. Like running around with your, like, dashing, the different abilities that you get. Like it's just a whole lot of fun just making your way across the map in this game. It was very fluid and didn't ever really feel like clunky or anything like that. Like it was just genuinely like, I'm gonna just zip through this area, and if you knew what you were doing, then it flowed really well. Outside of platforming, moving on to the combat, I enjoyed the combat a lot. I will say there were some sections where I hated the monsters that blew up when you killed them. Very fucking annoying.
Oh my gosh, the little the little Jones. Oh my goodness, yeah.
Flying monsters with shields that had to be broken with the melee ability. I just felt like was hella rude. I gotta get all the way up there, and they don't even want to come down here. Because every time I come down here, they fly up higher, and I'm like, God damn it! So I have to like plan for when they get near the ground or using a specific ability was important. It was very difficult, but at the same time, like, wasn't. And I don't even think the combat in and of itself was difficult, but it's like if you didn't plan correctly, or if you try to, because there were times where I would try to mash through, but if they had shields or they had like a guard, I can't do that. Like I was trying to turn my brain off, and they're like, no, you got to stay engaged. But the combat was fun. It kind of was akin to Guacamelee, if you've ever played that game. Like similar to that. It was kind of like, it's a lot of free form. So like you're not really like put into any kind of like a bubble or like a play style, and being able to switch between range and melee, where it's like top notch. I'm really happy that they had that, because there were times where I felt like scrapping it, and there were times where I was just like, you know what, I just want to stay over here and shoot my blasts at them.
100%. So I'll kind of follow your lead and stuff like that. Okay, while I love platforming games, I'm a very impatient person when it comes to that type shit. So sometimes I will not proceed with as much caution, and the game humbled me. The game very much humbled me. I was trying. There was a section. There were 2 or 3 specific sections where I was literally sitting there for about like a good 20 minutes a pop, so I'm trying to get through it, and I'm trying to hasten the jump to do one thing, and it's like the game's like, nah, slow down. So you're not that guy, pal. You say go get some rest. You're not him. I'm like, all right, bro, thanks for that. But again, I'm just like, you know what, listen, if Kalunga's teaching Zhao patience, damn it, I'm gonna have some patience to try and get through it. So the platforming there was challenge to it. It wasn't just, jump here. There was actually a really good pacing of the movement mechanics that you were introduced to through the different powers that you got. And then again, the different sections that tested those abilities and tested the combination of those abilities which you already had. I really like those. I felt like I felt like I was always learning something new, and then the environments never really felt too stale as I progressed through them. So that was very nice. The combat itself, I freaking love this combat, man. I actually do. Again, to say the sun and moon thing is definitely a balance. Again, thematic piece, of course it is, but they really drove it home in this gameplay, bro. I found so much fun in in switching up the style as much as I can, trying to look and plan a picture out in my head of what I wanted in terms of how do I approach a situation. Do I want to freeze ray the zoner up top who's firing all the again projectiles at me and stuff, and then I'll freeze ray him. I'll do a couple of combos down low, and I'll jump back up to him, maybe throw him, combo this guy up in the air, throw him into somebody else. Like, there's so many options, and it was creativity. At the end of the day, it was a very, very creative, it gives you a lot of creative freedom and creative license to mix it up how you see fit. I like that. I really did enjoy that. And especially with the varying enemy types, they weren't going to let you sit easy. As the game progressed, and it definitely picked up in terms of, again, the various enemies that you'll see, the different types and all that stuff. I found myself really locking in. Again, it doesn't give you a moment to sag off. There's no moment of rest or kind of getting bored with it, or drifting off or not being engaged. It warrants your attention. It warrants and demands your attention, and definitely in certain spells. Definitely in those combat trials, son. I ain't gonna lie. The second and third ones they're just, sometimes they were pains in the ass. I can't even front with you. They're definitely pains in the ass, but I got through them, bro. I had to find the strategy, because we'll get spoilery later, but there's certain points of the combat where they introduce certain enemies, and again, they will absolutely ruin your life if you do not focus them or find a way to freeze a certain person, or throw a spear at another set of people and rock that way. There's just so many paths to the combat. There's so many openings to the combat. I'm not sure how you opened it. Question to you, Wen. I guess, what was your general approach to the gameplay? Did you lead in with the moon or the sun one, and then you kind of like switch it up? I guess, what was your general go-to for like enemy engagements?
For me, I definitely used the moon way more than I used the sun, but it really depended, right? Like, I would use, if they were at range or they were away from me, I would definitely use the moon, but I would always like use a clip, and then while I'm recharging, use the sun. And if I knew that I could finish them off with the sun, then I would definitely like just finish them and then maybe switch back to moon if I needed to. But I always started with moon unless I knew I needed to do big damage, because I love the moon, but towards the end of the game, you need to really switch it up with both abilities, because you're not going to be able to just, in the beginning, you could pretty much spam down some of the mobs real easy, no problem. But once you start getting to points in the game, like, I started realizing, well, if I deflected certain abilities, it actually did more damage than what I would have done just regularly attacking them. And that's the kind of like mindset you have to go into it. Is like you have to keep adapting the way you play, because if you don't start off this, you don't finish the game the same way you started off. And even when you start unlocking new things, you're like, okay, well, now that I have this ability, I need to start using this more often. Now that I have this, I need to start using that more often. I loved the moon, though. I think the moon might have been my favorite, but I think by the end of it, it might have been 50-50. Yeah. Like, to be honest, because of the whole like having to switch back and forth between the masks so often.
Yeah, no, I hear. So yeah, and I actually have to say my approach probably was different depending on the situation. I think I let in like 60-40 with the moon mask more, because I don't know what I'm running into. So I'm like, I'll stay at range just to make sure I'm good. But I would really opt for the fire mask when I see like a lot of enemies that are grounded and stuff, and I'm like, oh, let's keep this on the floor. But if there's like too many like aerial adversaries or whatever, I'm gonna hit them with the moon thing. I'll either freeze them so they don't fire a projectile and focus on the ground, or completely try and focus them, and I'll hit a burst of moon shots, and then just try and get them out the way as soon as possible so I can rock out with the rest of this stuff. Like, there was so much variety in approach, and combine that with the environment. There's so many different ways to solve those problems, and I really liked how it was laid out. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed that. So that was super cool. And to kind of get as non-spoilery as we can about the story before we move on to more spoilery stuff, just with the themes, with the progression, with the dialogue and stuff, for an indie game, for this is their first video game and stuff, it's fully voice acted. It has a pretty decently sized cast for, I think had a few people going through. How'd you feel about the story, the outlay of the themes, the progression of it? Did you ever feel, was there any boredom at all? And how do you feel about kind of how, again, everything came together from the pacing, characters, themes, all that stuff?
I think the voice acting, Phenomenal job. Absolutely, you could feel the emotion in almost every cutscene. I love the dynamic between Kalunga and Zhao.
Hmm.
It is like, I want to say, very. It was really great to see kind of like the relationship of like a very very wise uh spirit of power
Mm.
alongside somebody who is very much emotionally charged, going headfirst into something that they
Hmm.
haven't seen before. The best way I could describe it, if anybody's ever played a game called, I think it's called Indivisible.
Mm.
Um, it's on Game Pass, but it's a similar concept of like getting, not necessarily in the other game it's like revenge for your father. In this game it's like trying to bring back your father from
Hmm.
the dead. But having like a young kid trying to basically take on the world, do the impossible, like not knowing how to process pain and not knowing how to process these emotions, and just the beautiful moments that you like experience while encountering people who are going through life themselves and people who may have had situations where they're also going through loss. And it's something
Hmm.
that is a game that I would recommend for anybody who's gone through anything similar, or even who have been in situations where it's like kind of scary.
Hmm.
It talks about all of these scary emotions in a way that make you really think about it from a different aspects of it.
Yeah. I just, again, I go back to the onion thing I said earlier. Like, it's just, they told so much story, not just what was said, to what people were seeing, to what they were playing, to what they were feeling. Like, it was such a deep connection across all those different planes to tell the things that they had to tell. Again, some things of course felt pretty on the nose and pretty straightforward and stuff, but the whole thing was just a direct reflection of what, you know, the journey that Zhao was feeling within. It was just a direct reflection of what he was going through that you saw on the screen and what you were playing through. Again, those moments that took you through, like, again, these moments of impatience at first. He just sees the goal. He's like, yo, is this thing, bro? Nothing's gonna stop me from getting to it. I don't care who's in the way. I don't know what's, you know, what's there. That runs into more obstacles about, you know, again, just taking time, actually caring about the process and the journey instead of worrying about the end result of it. Just wanting things to go back to the way they were instead of, you know, doing that kind of. It's just like, oh, it's just so much emotion that went through there. They went to, you know, the fear and anxiety, just talking about certain situations of just trying to make things better and not knowing how things are going to be on the other side, trying to cling on to things in the past. Just so many things. Again, happiness, peace. You see so many things that are interplayed across these feelings. Like, not to say that it's not a journey of grief, because it always is a journey of grief, but then these moments are always flooding because grief doesn't look like that to everybody. Grief might not always look like sadness and sorrow all the time to everybody. Grief might be a moment to laugh, a moment to be defiant, a moment to be, you know, frustrated, angry. There's so many like twists and turns to this. And again, the Metroidvania style of you kind of backtracking and going back in and around certain areas, I feel like space was also used very efficiently to portray the story and such, and kind of display the symbolism of a lot of what the game had. I feel like every time you saw an emotional shift or an environmental shift or another spot in the journey, you saw a waterfall, which is, again, I think was a really big tell for me to see, like, oh shit, like they're on it with these beats. They're on it with the beats to kind of show you these things. So that was really dope. Again, just the interplay between everybody was just, it was really cool. It was really cool. There's a character called Liana who you might have saw at the end of the demo. She was on the bridge, the kind of going towards Ikakaramba and stuff. She was, again, really, really cool. And also, again, that reflection of Zhao in another way. And you kind of see that kind of play out. What's it called? Sabolana as well, which is another character that you see further into the story. We'll get spoilery in a little bit down the line. But again, that brings a whole different wave of emotion that comes down for Zhao. So it's just so well tailored. It's so well tailored across so many different points, bro. For an indie game, for this being their first game, they are so efficient at telling their story in as many places as possible. That's the thing that gets me. So much story exudes through so many pieces of this game that I couldn't help but stop and try and soak everything in. Like, I'm sitting there I'm sitting there trying to look at the codexes, bro. I'm like, all right, cool. What are you trying to convey with this sort of thing? It was just a lot of good, man. I really enjoyed the narrative. I really enjoyed that story, whether you've been through something like that similar or not. I feel like there's charm in this, there's wit in this, there's so much emotional variety, and there's so much pointed, very, very well put and well measured, like lines of dialogue and just points of interest in the story that people are going to enjoy this one. People are going to enjoy this one. And again, I completed this in about I think like 8 to 10 hours. I think I was like 8 to 10 hours, and I'm not sure how much time you clocked in, but I would ever say maybe like closer to 10, 11, because these damn platformer sections was beating my ass. Some of them, all right, I'm not afraid to admit it, but that's about where I clocked out with it. I'm not sure how long you took to complete it.
For me, I think it was about 9 hours.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 9 hours. I think I might have skipped like a challenge or two because I had a packed weekend and I wanted to get the game done before we talked about it. But I want to say it was about 9-ish hours. It's one of those experiences kind of similar to Stray, where it's like it's not meant to be a long experience. It's meant to be a good one, and you get to enjoy a lot of the world and what they have to offer. And just experiencing it in that aspect was just not having to sit there and be like, man, it took me 35 hours to have these emotions or feel these emotions. It's honestly like it's needed. I don't want to have to spend that much time. Like sometimes you just want to experience a good story, and it was exactly that. One good weekend, lock in, play it, have a bunch of shit to talk about, and honestly have a bunch of speculations that you can go and like bounce ideas off of like what could happen in the maybe another sequel, or maybe something in the same universe.
100%. And I feel like there's so much room for that type of thing as well, just kind of expanding what the Tales of Kenzera actually were. I mean, again, in this damn game alone, some of the powers you get and the stories behind them, they could lead to things in their own right, which could be a whole different, that could lead to whole different projects in the future, depending on how they see fit. But there's so much light and potential and good quality with this series, and they could take this in a lot of different ways. I mean, again, I didn't mention it as often, but the soundtrack was bumping from second one. Open the game and just stop and feel the wind on your skin as you open this game. I will say it every single time, bro. Oh my goodness, I'll get into it later because there's something else that definitely reminded me of a certain game. But if you open that menu and you think of a certain game that I'm thinking of, if you're on the right track. But I think there was so much love and there was so much quality execution by so many different moving parts on this OST. Just to really highlight, again, you're really Zuberi. You're really the boy that's in the future. He's in Amandla and stuff like that. Current day, present day. And that kind of, the futuristic, the tech world and stuff like that, the sounds and synths that mirror that time. And then you're also looking into the story that you're playing as Zhao. So it's like, how do you play through those things at the same time to remind you it's not just Zhao is going through this journey, it's Zuberi. And I think the pacing of it as well, to kind of sometimes, I think a couple times they took you out of the game to kind of show Zuberi's perspective of going through things and how he's been coping with the story and where all that leads, and then going back into the story. I feel like that was a good reminder of like, Zhao's not alone. Zhao is going through the same story as a Zuberi. So for me, I was kind of keeping my ears open to where like the little futuristic things at play, where everything was woven in so well. It was so well weaved, man. So many. The thread count was high as hell on this shit. The thread count was high as hell. That's as much as I can say. But I guess we can give our overall grade before we get to some spoilery stuff. I don't know if you want to do that.
Yeah, no, I think that would be perfect.
All right, cool. So what do you think? Do you want to letter grade out of 10? I don't even know how we want to slice this up. It's up to you though.
I guess I would give it I would say an 8. I feel like that's where I want to land. 8.5. I think it's a game with a lot of heart. And when I say a lot of heart, like, had this been even just a comic book, it would have been captivating. But the fact that you can play in this world and experience having these powers and being a shaman, it's just honestly an amazing experience. Very much heartfelt. You can feel the soul of this game very well. It is not overly long for any unnecessary reason. You get that, and there's a lot of content to dive into as well, like the challenges and just replaying the game in using different abilities and just having different play styles. I think it's a pretty solid game. Amazing, phenomenal first game, and I hope this isn't the last we hear of them.
100%, 100%. And speaking of, you know what I'm saying, I wish it was into a comic. Motherfucker, they do have a comic. It's in the main menu. So if you open this damn game up, you got a comic that's right there. And again, they said there was no words in it. You could just literally understand it by looking at the images and stuff. And I followed along pretty well myself. So it's dope. It's dope to see what they can do in other mediums as well. But I would have to agree. I'm saying 8.5. I think one of the biggest things for me is making sure the gameplay was smooth and solid. I think that was where I was going to try and like see. I was going to be a bit more critical because I've seen Metroidvanias that looked decent and stuff. They had some promise to them, but the gameplay felt a little bit lacking. It maybe didn't feel as sharp or as smooth as I wanted it to be. And I feel like they passed that test with flying colors. That was one of the biggest points of difference for me in this game. Like, how do you make it feel really, really good? How do you make it feel polished? How do you make it feel like this feels upper quality? This feels like this isn't their first game to me. Because I don't, you know what I'm saying? Not that I'm not naming names or whatever, but I played other Metroidvanias to where things, they had a good base, but they didn't feel as good. They didn't feel like it was inviting you back for more in a sense of their gameplay. So that they covered that base very, very well. I knew from minute one the story was going to be very, very solid. So they delivered on all of those things. There were so many really good twists and turns and parallels and things that you could apply from the game to your journey, to anybody's journey, to Zhao's journey. This was something that was made with pride, with love, and so much care, man. I really enjoyed that narrative a whole hell of a lot. Again, the music banging. That soundtrack will be bought. It better be on Spotify or something like that because I need it ASAP. I might need the vinyl too. We're going to work on that, but so many good things that kept me engaged in a very, very a tight, compact package. Again, it's about 8 to 10 hour game. Paid about what was it? What I think it's going for what, $20, $20, $30, something around there. So it's not even like a $70 game for so much value you can get out of this. And I just liked the entire package, man. I gotta end how I started this thing. This game, in the best of ways, it's an onion, man. It's an onion. It's packed with so much good stuff that makes gaming better once you add it to it. You add this level of heart. You add this level of detail, story, again, gameplay consideration, the cast, all that stuff. You add it all together, and you got some good ass cooking. So I really enjoyed it. I'm giving it an 8.5. Definitely one of my favorites, and a really, really, really good game for this year, man. Definitely, if you have not, I highly consider you checking it out. I think it's gonna be worth your time. All right,
1000%.
Let's get to some spoilery shit. All right, this is your warning. This is your warning, people. If you're hearing this, this is your warning. I warned you. I warned you. I warned you. Okay, cool. Let's get into this, bruh. I don't even know how I want to start with this spoilery shit, but listen. All right, cool. I just want to talk before we get to everything else. What was your favorite moment from the game? What was your favorite moment?
I think my favorite moment, definitely the ending and that twist was really, really dope. But I think the last boss, the third boss, the one that was like the son. Yeah. That was a really, really fun boss fight. And just like that story was amazing. I will say that I think that was a section that had a crazy ass lava platforming part.
Yes, that one after the boss. That shit was killing me. Oh my gosh, I was dying. Ow, bro, that I shit you not. That section I literally took like 22 minutes on. I can look at it in the recording. I was like looking at my OBS and I was looking back at the game. I was like, bro, this shit is fucking me up so bad. I was getting superstitious, bro. I started the level with the moon mask. I was like, all right, no. Let me change to the sun mask as I respawn back in, because I think that's fucking me up right now. I think the frames is messing me up a little bit. It's my fault. It was on me. It was a really challenging section, but it was good. It's okay. But yeah, that section ruined me. Go ahead.
No, yeah, that part was annoying, but I want to say the boss fight before was really, really fun.
That was super fun.
And the last boss fight was also really, really fun as well. I did not like that last platforming session, but it was mostly because like that was the section that I felt like I was like, man, a checkpoint halfway through here would be amazing. But it was definitely like, yo, this is. But it was also a test. Like that might have been like one of the last few hard platforming sections of the game. So I was like, all right, I get it. Like after beating it, I'm like, okay, it wasn't the worst because this was like the last one.
Yeah.
But damn, that shit was brutal.
100%. And the funniest thing with that last thing, with the last boss, it's funny because literally it's just an amalgamation of all the other prior boss fights that we've had up to that point, which is again really really dope. And I'm sitting there learning things that I should have known from before that I didn't think to do. Like when you have the projectiles coming at you, did you know you can just like use the reassemble reform button, like when you switch your mask to basically disassemble the projectile?
You talking about like that big ass rock?
No, not the big ass rock. The big ass rock, you do the
pull B thing or whatever.
Yes, the pull B, I forget the name, but something's might. That the LTB move where you just kind of burst through it, that's for the boulders. But when you have projectiles that were coming at you in the last boss fight,
I did not know that. I would literally using my blue mask to shoot them. That actually is way smarter. Damn, I wish I would have known that.
You jump right. I learned it on like my second or third try with the Gagorib. So I was like, oh shit, I didn't know I could do this. And I was like, boom, and I didn't take damage. So I was like, oh shit, that's the one. And we just keep punching through the walls, bro. I look like the Kool-Aid man and shit. Fire inclusion that I think people just, people might not consider because you're just trying to fight through the boss. But real learning curve, real like strategy that goes behind a lot of this shit. Really, really cool. In the last boss fight with those projectiles coming at you, when you get the move that that you disassemble certain objects and you reassemble certain objects depending on which mask you have. Yeah, you can use that as the projectiles come towards you, and you can get rid of them. You get corresponding to the color, because I noticed it. Okay, at some point during that boss fight, it was like first, second try, I was spamming the shit out of these buttons, bro. I can't even lie to you. Let's be honest. I'm gonna be honest. You know what I'm saying? We're honest gamers over here. I was spamming the shit out of some buttons because I was panicking at one point. All right, I was like, yo, he's about to charge at me with all he has, and I pressed the right button, and I realized I got rid of all of the projectiles as he passed through me, and I was like, oh wait, I didn't know that. Oh, let's go. There's so many little hidden nuggets of gameplay snippets, that like gameplay strategy and stuff that you can pull from it. You just gotta really try and apply yourself. Like, bro, that's why I really, really am pleased with the combat, because there's so much that actually stacks. You're not spamming one combo or one move and trying to get through the whole game and stuff like that. This game actually challenges you and tests you on what you've learned to a good extent. And again, it just provides that feedback of like, yo, everything that you've learned up to this point actually does come in play. And the pacing of the stuff that you learned was really, really good as well. I enjoyed that. Again, you got the grappling hook, and then you got the what's it called, the glide feature and stuff. All these things that progressively build up to you being this shaman machine. And when you get to the end, it's like, oh yeah, nah, I need everything now. This is all this stuff, and I think it was woven in very, very well. So that was fire. My favorite moment from this game was I think this was probably, it might not have been the biggest twist. Definitely the biggest twist was again, spoilers. Kalunga, representing himself as Zhao's father. That's probably the biggest twist. That's fair. I'm not even gonna lie. Which is funny. We can talk about that in a second, just about how the whole story was kind of laid out. But my favorite moment was the Kiki Yaon, that boss fight, how that opened up, because you gave all the ingredients, you gathered all the ingredients like it was a regular fetch quest or whatever. I'm like, I was sitting there chilling, bro. I was sitting in there chilling. I was like, bro, let's get the ingredients, let's do all this stuff, we're good. I wasn't thinking nothing of it. I was like, give it to her, blah blah blah. You said put the berries in the leaf, crush your hand. I was like, all right, cool, let's go, Sawalana, let's get up out of here. And she was like, he's like, why are you so weak or something? I was like, what? I stopped. Everything stopped in my tracks, bro. I was like, what? It was so like the slight amount of fear that came out of my voice. Like, what's she talking about, bro? I was dead ass shocked. I was very, very stunned by how quickly that turned, and that was really cool. I love Kiki Yaon, was probably my favorite boss fight. I absolutely love that one. The feeling of fear manifested in nature, the feeling of fear against change and all that stuff, and how it played out in the running sections against the darkness, and the boss fight itself, where like he had the locked hearts, he had to use the disassemble reassemble feature to unlock the heart, and also through there, I just love the environmental aspect, to where the darkness is all around you, but the light through the vines will show you where the heart is in the battle environment, so you can just fly to it and fly to the next one. It was relatively easy for me, but it's still my favorite one, just of how everything was laid out, how the setup was. That last little part when the damn Kiki Allen had a damn seizure and shit, and the camera just doing I was like, yo, relax, son. But fire, I absolutely love that moment. That is good writing, that is good just shock value and stuff. That was just a great use of a moment in the game. That's my favorite moment, hands down.
You know, this game is just, and this game is just filled with so many good moments. Like it's just every time I got into a new section, it was just a new experience, and like even seeing the progression of the character, kind of accepting the fact that like they can't control everything, and just no matter how hard they try, some things are just out of your control. And it was beautiful to see like at the end, just seeing how everything kind of just played out.
Yeah, 100, bro. I actually had a running doc of just a bunch of shit that was going down and stuff, and how I felt like there was a whole plot points about how his mom and again how his mom left and stuff, and she went to some faraway land and stuff, and he resented her at some point, but along the way he kind of felt peace in that. It's like, yo, just you can't change how she is in her nature. She was, she was Ishtoka, you know what I mean? She was gonna be warrior. That's just in her heart, and I don't think she was built for a family, and that's just her. And he kind of came to grips with that. Like he came to grips with a lot of different things, which was really cool. I just loved, there were so many nuggets that were laden throughout the story. Again, what's it called? Just the incessant need to try and Liana in the game, she kind of hid the fact that the Impundalu was her mother, which I was like, shit, son, you should have just said something. I'm gonna be real. But then she explained it of why she had to kind of let that go and not tell Zhao. But like the need for her to try and calm Impundalu down, instead of understand that Impundalu needs to go on to the next life and be away, like kind of that need to say, let's go back to how the way things were, and kind of like denial in a certain way. That was really, really, really cool. And again, just that reflection of Zhao, all these things that were laid out in the story were just a reflection of Zhao's journey in his head, and it was so well plotted across this game. I really, really, really enjoyed this. And again, the point there right towards the end kind of drove it home with Bomani and his son, which ended up being the Gagorib, that was a wonderful moment as well. It's kind of literally a direct parallel. Like, bro, you got to accept your son is gone. He accepted that, and it's like, damn, like it's like my man Keenan Ivory Wayne's popping up and saying message. Like it was just a lot of really, really good story weaving into so much of this damn game, and I appreciate it, bro. I really, really, really did appreciate it, man. This was good shit. This was good shit. Even in Ishtoka, when you had like the enduring right of like how you're combating life and how you set yourself up for the rest of your life. There's like a young trial that the Ishtoka take, and then the enduring right, the three little pillars there, it was resilience, wisdom, and mercy. Like, and that's easily applicable to what Zhao was going through, and he literally was going through those things. He went through the enduring right himself to kind of achieve that peace and understanding. And by the time he gets to gets back to what's it called, my pronunciation's gone. Damn it, hold on. I'm gonna go back and get it right. But again, this the land. But before he goes to the land of the dead, what's it called? Patekatifu. Thank you. Patekatifu. Damn, my pronunciation is off. I am butchering this shit like crazy. My fault. But yeah. By the time he goes back to get ready for the land of the dead in his final journey, is like I feel like he's like already knowing in his heart what needs to be done, and he sees the path that's already like there. It's crazy. It was just wonderful how everything was just laid out. I really, really enjoyed it.
No, it was honestly a beautiful journey through and through. Like go from beginning to end, every act just like drives home such an important message and important like experience one needs to go through. And there are multiple times where like at the end of a chapter I was like, oh my god, that was kind of heavy. And even just some of the small moments of like when you find the meditation spots, it's very strong emotional conversations that honestly some people have never even had until maybe this point playing this game.
Which is wild. They reminded me a lot of Jin Sakai's like reflection points in the springs in Ghost of Tsushima. They reminded me of that a lot, because literally they increased your health and they increased a certain stat line when you get in and out of them, but literally there was just points of reflection. There was a point to tell you, yo, like this is what's happened in my life and in my story. We're just talking about these things. We're talking about life, death, and everything in between, like they stated. And it was cool to again have more of that journey weaved into or woven into the gameplay. That is just that's what I'm talking about, man. That's what I mean in the best of ways, bang for your buck, of like, yo, we're showing you, we're telling you as much as we're showing you, we're telling you as well, or how much we're telling you, we're showing you that this is what the story is. This is how things are outlaid. This is what he's feeling. This is what, you know, anybody can feel in this journey that you're going through. And I absolutely, I had a great time with it. I had a great time with it, man. My time was well spent. Absolutely enjoyed this shit. Yeah, I was about to say. Outside of that, shout out to the little yumbos that were on the fast travel points. Adorable shits. I need a plushie. I ain't gonna lie. I need a plushie. That shit is hard. I'm gonna be real frank, brother. I need a yumbo plushie. But yeah, that was cool. What's it called? I'm just like, I'm in shock how solid it was throughout. Really.
I wasn't expecting it to have this much of an effect on me, to be honest. I was kind of like, I went into it with like the mentality of like, oh, this is gonna be a really great experience, but like I'm still thinking about it, and I beat it yesterday. I'm still thinking about moments of it, or even just like ways that this could branch off into maybe another game or like a sequel. Maybe we see Zhao's mom and we get to play through her storyline. Like there's a lot that you can do in this world.
100, and there's so many places you could take it, man. Again, looking back at some of like the heroes and stuff, like the hook that you get is from an old shaman named Zawadi. You could talk about another set of shamans or whatever. You could talk about all the shamans that you got powers from in this space. Like the story's already there to be told in a sense. So it's just, this world has had a really strong foundation set for it, that's combined with a really good story, and they can take this a lot of different ways, man. Surgeon team, man, hats off, because this shit was good, man. It was damn good.
Oh yeah, it was amazing.
Word. Any final notes before we wrap this up?
Check it out. If you're somewhat interested in this area, you're a fan of Metroidvanias, I definitely recommend checking it out.
100. I will say, I need more. Give me more. This story was fantastic. Absolutely take your time. Take a nice champagne, wine cooler, whatever y'all, you know what I'm saying, like to partake and drink with. Just water would be cool too. But Surgeon team, y'all did a smash up job. I think it's a team of about 35 people in terms of development team and staff. They did an absolutely smash up job to tell a poignant story with fun gameplay and an absolutely beautiful world. Again, indie games got the juice, man. This is another prime example of it, man. Indie games, they had the juice, and I don't think they're gonna let go anytime soon, bro. Absolutely enjoyed this. Really good story, and I know I'm gonna play this again. I don't know what mindset I'll be if I'll play this again, but this was an absolutely like really cool thing to get to experience. So Tales of Kenzera Zhao, let us hope this is not the last time we see you. Tales of Kenzera universe, I'm almost certain at some point we're going to see you again in some different fashion. But yeah, greatness and the beginnings of continued greatness is what I'm seeing in the future of this series if they choose to continue it on. But yeah, man, done damn good.